Hello, hello, and welcome to the show because yeah, baby, you are now tuned into a brand spanking new Monday Night Live. That's right. AKA the Hangout Stream, AKA the Chill Stream, baby. All fired up. But in reality, we're just getting warmed up, baby. For March 6th, 2023, brought to you by you know who. Yours truly, the man broadcasting from behind the curtain. You know who I am. Because if you don't know by now, you've been naughty, baby. But you can visit www.livefreeliverich.com. Yes, you can. Or there's another option. Simply Google his name. You can find out, baby. Yes, you can. So sit back, relax, sip your little pumpkin spice latte, if you will. And I'll get this show on the road, baby. Yes, I will. How you guys doing? Did you have a good week? Okay. That's enough of that. You guys have a good week? Was it good? Bad? Was it ugly? How was it? I got some drama for y'all tonight. That's right. I have some drama to share with y'all tonight, and in more ways than one. That's right. The proverbial shit, as it were, is hitting the fan for one of our ongoing hot topic threads. Yes. But, it's not all bleak. I also have some opportunities to share with you. I have some deals to present, and I have some new authors to discover, and much, much more. But before I get into all of that, first things first, I like to take this time to slide right inside my first segment of the night, where I like to shine a spotlight on some books that are currently available or coming soon to an online store near you. Yes, it's true. Let's see who we have up first tonight. From the Twitter, we have Savage Realms Game Books, or Savage Realms Press for this one. WTF. Yes, WTF indeed. Now available on Amazon. The ebook is free if you have Kindle Unlimited, or is just 99 cents until the end of January. Looks like snooze we lose on that one. But from Savage Realms Press comes a truly disturbing collection of gruesome tales. Definitely not for the faint of heart. So first up tonight, we have WTF. This is an anthology of horror, second volume from this press. Let's check it out. Okay, there is the cover. Quite a it's quite a cover indeed. All right. WTF. From Savage Realms Press comes a truly disturbing collection of gruesome tales. Definitely not for the faint of heart. They have some bullet points here, talking a little bit about each entry, I suppose. A man's decision to care for his ailing parents quickly turns into a nightmare. Two friends working at a chocolate factory find new and interesting ways to pass the time. A man purchases a sex robot, promising the ultimate in human realism. I would imagine if you were to buy like a sex robot, wouldn't you want it to be like surreal in some type of way? Why would you want it to be human-like? I always found that a little bit creepy. But maybe that's because maybe that makes it a good entry for WTF. It's a match literally made in hell when two of history's most notorious serial killers end up as roommates in the afterlife. A woman returns to her grandparents' home after a funeral, only to discover a dark and terrible family secret, and many more. So WTF is a terrifying excursion into the twisted minds of authors Matt Martinek, Frederick Pang-Bjorn, Lisa H. Owens, Josh Stranad, Franklin Phillip, Josh Poole, Thomas Stewart, Greg Chamberlain, Gary Inkent, Paul D. Combs, John Chambers, Troy Massey, Troy Anthony Skiermer, Jacek Wilkos, Michael Page, Jim Reasons, Ken Goldman, Tim Law, Radar DeBoard, Matthew Weber, and R.L. Blackburn. Shares table of contents says, warning, contains material that is unsuitable for younger audiences. Parental discretion is strongly advised. 374 pages of occult fiction. There it is, WTF. Of course, all these books are suggested to me directly by the publishers themselves, whether they are self-pubbed, an indie label, or a small press company. Up next, from the Facebook, comes from Melvise Johnson. Melvise Johnson shares Unlocking and Understanding Mysteries About Your Mate, a spiritual guide to loving relationships by C. Giovanni. Simpson was written to help fix your relationships, change your heart, and change your life. Read an excerpt at her website, writtenwordpublishing.com. So this comes from her indie label or press company. And this one is Unlocking and Understanding Mysteries About Your Mate by C. Giovanni Simpson. Yeah, if you guys suggest a book to me, it does not have to be strictly from Amazon. It can be from your own website, like if you have your own website, or it can be from like Barnes and Noble or wherever you have it published. All right, well, there's the cover. Let's check out this blurb, shall we? Do you need help with your relationship? Do you need help finding the right one? Do you want to find out why men and women act the way they do? Unlocking and Understanding Mysteries About Your Mate by Pastor C. Giovanni Simpson is the book for you. Written to answer hundreds of your hardest questions about the opposite sex, single life, marriage, and true love. This book is a guarantee to help fix your relationships, change your heart, and change your life. It's a very bold blurb. All righty, we got Jill Criddle in the house. Jill Criddle. No stranger to the live stream. Jill just shares a link to her book. Her book. This time she's coming at us with City of Destiny by Jill Criddle. Let's see what this one's about. I know Jill's shared she had a poetry book before. Let's see what this one is. I think we have some fiction here. We have some fiction this time around from Jill Criddle. All right, there is the cover. Jill Criddle, what do you got for us? The year is 3010. The last city on Earth has been watched by the illusionist. It houses 150,000 survivors of the end of days and global warming. The citizens are rescued and then divided into levels, depending on their age, attributes, vices, and their past. There is romance, intrigue, danger, and magic afoot. The scientists have been discovered using magical alchemy to capture unascended souls and putting them into genetically engineered kidlings. Time devices are scanned daily, and they have 159 years to live. The observer, Kara, has many unusual gifted talents and has caught the eye of the illusionist. Even your best friend cannot be trusted. Who can save the City of Destiny? Knowledge is power, and magic can't fix everything, right? Looks like we have a short story here, 54 pages on this one. A little short story here. Perhaps a novella. City of Destiny. Sounds like an interesting one, Jill. Of course, if you guys have a book that is currently on the market or coming soon, it can be in pre-order. So long as you have a link to share with me, you can just go ahead, get in contact with me, share a link. That's all I need is a link. Or you can share the title and the pen name of the author. So long as you are suggesting your own work or you are the publisher of said work. See what we have up next. One more book to get to tonight. One more book. We have from author Francessca Bella. She says, read from Bella Raroria, where I publish my own 9 to 16 novels per year in both rhyme and prose. All right, let's see what this one is all about. I believe I just picked one from her website. Well, there was two things. I'm going to take a look at her website, but also I'll read this the blurb from this book, which is on Amazon. So this one is Mazarine Dreamer by Francessca Bella. Mazarine Dreamer by Francessca Bella. Let's see here. I knew there was something I wanted to show you guys about this one in particular that I thought was pretty cool. All right, there is the cover. Let's check out this blurb here. An illustrated novel. So we have illustrations here. Francessca Bella's Mazarine Dreamer is rare, rhythmic, and rhyming. A reincarnate, Flavia time travels to her Renaissance past life, where she unravels its romantical secrets. She must destinate which of the two men she loved then she will now date, the love triangle resurrected, all while a corrupted clergy watch and revile. Only through the right love will the gates thereafter be open to heaven for she who must change for better. 338 pages of epic poetry, fantasy, and futuristic romance. All right. Now, she did actually share her website as well. So I just wanted to kind of like show, oops. I did want to kind of just show that as well. Kind of just give you guys a little taste of what her website looks like here. So this is BellaRoria.com. Rareoria. So we have a rhyming novel. So this is that story right there, the Mazarine Dreamer. So I just thought this was interesting. She has a whole page dedicated to this novel right here. So it's quite a production that she put together here. So he says, so what's Mazarine Dreamer all about? You can check out the characters, the setting, some of the illustrations here. And then she kind of goes into kind of the minutia, like surrounding the piece of work, like why read a rhyming novel, and then poetry and prose defined. So it's like this whole thing that she kind of put together about surrounding this piece of work right here. And I thought that was really cool that she kind of like put in that much effort into this one piece of work. Talking about the love triangle, the implications of romance and reincarnation. So she's kind of like talking about the different types of themes and the elements involved in the story. So it's almost like instead of saying she has, the reason why I thought this was creative is because it's like instead of pointing someone and doing like an author interview or something, she just has like this whole kind of like all these different type, almost like blog posts, if you will. Different types of blog posts or pages set up surrounding this one piece of work. Almost like a frequently asked questions, type of page for the book itself, but maybe a little bit more in depth. I don't know. Let's click on characters here and see what happens. So we have characters here. Contains a love triangle going into the characters. So we do have, it looks like we have like these kind of bio breakdowns of the characters. I know some people get into that type of stuff in Booktube. They like doing this type of stuff. So we have the characters here. We got some characteristics, their occupation and origin, some of their hobbies. So like kind of like a character breakdown sheet of some of the different characters that you'll meet in the novel. So I think that's neat. That's pretty neat. So I'll leave a link to, what I'll do is I'll leave a link in post-production in the show notes. I'll leave a link to the actual website. And you guys can check it out from there instead of just directly to the Amazon. So those are the books. Those are the books for this week. And be sure to tune in later on, either later on tonight, or if you're watching this on the replay, you could probably just shoot on over to the community tab and cast your vote for which one out of those 4 books you thought had the most text appeal. In other words, which one out of those 4 books would you be most likely to pick up? And if you would like to discover more from the independent market, you can head on over to my shorts tab or my playlist and open up some mystery packs. Yes, inside each mystery pack, there is a cover card which reveals a book that has been recognized from the independent market by the Live Free, Live Rich Network, and also includes one link to an editorial written on that book by yours truly. All right. Let's get into the next segment. This is an as needed segment where I say your comments matter. That's right. My comment section is not there to satisfy AI algorithms. My comment section is there for me to interact with those of you who choose to give my videos the time of day. So these are comments that are left in the comment section specifically. So if you're watching this on the replay, go ahead, drop me a comment down below. It could be on anything that you see during the show, whether, say, if you've picked up any of the books that I've covered on any of the episodes on this show. So these are all videos across the entire channel, past or present, okay? And I will address your comments live on the air. Hey, they changed it. Actually, it looks better now. All right. One comment to address here right off the top. This comes from last week's stream titled Rage Bait. Yes. And this comes from the right YouTube channel, The Right Mindset. This is Thomas Beleza, the top commenter. in fact, reigning champion of the comment section, I have to add. And he says, I love how you give spotlight to writers in the beginning. Interesting announcements. Can't wait to see you continue to grow your brand and message. Try and spread the word, you know. He says, but if you want to encourage engagement, does that mean we have to marry the people we engage with? Bad puns. I agree with you when you said that the artist wants to explore things and lets the creative elements come out of you. And when it comes to, quote, horror or any form of art, they become known for horror stories. Sam Raimi is known for a style of filmmaking, but no one believes he is into the occult. And you don't have to get personal with your social media, but when you're doing this show, it says a lot about the brand you are marketing. Your thoughts, even on branding, is a look into your beliefs, and audiences connect with that. Well, I hope so, as far as that goes, you know. And I definitely respect your input, Thomas, as far as all the marketing stuff goes and with writing in general. All in all, this is great stuff. I love your videos, and I would absolutely love to have a conversation with you about it in full. And what is this? 1,000,000%? 1,000,000% good people don't have to agree 100%. I loved the episode on the rewatch. Appreciate it, man. Thomas Beleza of the Right Mindset. He does like writing, not only does like in-depth like writing tips and like Authortube type stuff, but also does indie author interviews or author interviews. I don't think it just has to be indie because he's actually in the industry himself. Like he makes a living in the writing industry. So definitely someone who I value his input and I respect his perspective on things as far as that goes. So let's move right along here to the next segment, where we are actually going to be talking a little bit, some controversy going on in the writing industry. And let me see here. So apparently the shit has hit the fan. Yes, hot topic for content creators. This is where I pitch a hot topic to you guys, and then you guys turn around and you create your own content on said topic. And if you tag me in your video, then, or you share a link with me, then I may feature your video during a future live stream. Or else you're always welcome to just go ahead, drop your comments down below, but take the time, stop, think, really let the topic marinate and really think about your position on the topic and how you want to approach the topic, because you can come at these topics from all different types of angles. So you can leave a comment, and what I'll do is I'll address your comment live on the air during a future broadcast, and we'll go through your comment almost like a blog post, and we'll go through it like point by point by point, okay, as we kind of embroider the topics at hand. The topic that I would like to revisit for tonight is an ongoing hot topic thread, I call it, and that is the conversation of art and artificial intelligence. Seems to be probably one of the most relevant ongoing conversations today during our time as far as the art world goes. And tonight I do have an article to talk about. So this is not only talking about it from the artistic standpoint, but now we're going to start to talk about it lean a little bit more into the business side of the art world. And I have an article tonight. Let me just pull it up here. And this article is coming from The Guardian. And it says, sci-fi publisher Clark's World halts pitches amid deluge of AI-generated stories. Yes. In the caption here, it says, founding editor says 500 pitches rejected this month and their authors, quote unquote, banned as influencers promote, quote unquote, get rich quick schemes. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's see what this one's all about, shall we? You know, I really don't want to be the type of person that says, I told you so. I really don't. So we're just going to go ahead and I'm not going to do that. And I'm just going to go ahead and just read the article itself and see what the article has to say. And you guys, you can chime in whether you're in the comment section right now, or you're just tuning in, or in the comment section down below. You guys can leave your thoughts, and I'm going to just kind of go through this article a little bit and see. Just go through this article a little bit and see what's going on here. It's already experiencing a little bit of lag. These websites, man, I tell you, they slather these websites with friggin' AdSense, and it just screws it all up, slows everything down. Anyway, one of the most prestigious publishers of science fiction short stories has closed itself to submissions. Let's see here. Okay, so let's slow down a little bit, but that's all right. All right. One of the most prestigious publishers of science fiction short stories has closed itself to submissions after a deluge of AI-generated pitches overwhelmed its editorial team. Clark's World, which has published writers including Jeff Vandermeer, Yoon Ha Lee, and Catherine Valenti, is one of the few paying publishers to accept open submissions for short stories. From new writers. All right, so opportunities here. This is an opportunity. So far, I'm looking at this. This is opportunity for aspiring authors, new writers. That's what I'm getting from this. Okay, so AI already fucking up opportunities. Let's go. But that promise brought it to the attention of influencers promoting. Quote, get rich quick schemes using AI, according to founder editor Neil Clark. In a typical month, the magazine would normally receive 10 or so such submissions that were deemed to have plagiarized other authors, he wrote in a blog post. But since the release of ChatGPT last year pushed AI language models into the mainstream, the rate of rejections has rocketed. In January, everything keeps locking up here. In January, Clark said, the publisher rejected 100 submissions, banning their quote-unquote authors from submitting again. In February to date, he has banned more than 500. Dude, that is insane. See, that's like a fear that I have, because I'm like thinking, because I wear the publisher hat as well, and eventually I would like to put together some anthology projects. And this is a big fear that I have right now, that I don't want to be scammed by people. You know, I don't want to be paying good money for quality work, which I think that it's going to be difficult for people to scam me anyways, because, you know, I understand storytelling and I'm not going to be paying money for fluff. I'm not going to be paying money for trash. So it's going to be difficult. But even like so it's not so much just the AI stuff. Like, I'm not afraid of the AI stuff because as of right now, I'm not impressed by a lot of what the Chat GPT can even do as far as that goes. But really, it's the plagiarism thing that scares the hell out of me because, like, I know what I can do, right? But shit can hit the fan quick, fast, in a hurry as soon as you start working with at least one other human being. Because the reason for that is because you cannot control what other people do. And other people are just going to do what other people do. And case in point right here. You know, there's always going to be people who try to cut corners and shit like that. And I have something to say about that. But let me just get through the rest of this article so I can close this damn window. I've reached out to several editors, and the situation I'm experiencing is by no means unique, he wrote. It does appear to be hitting higher profile, always open markets, much harder than those with limited submission windows or lower pay rates. It's clear that business as usual won't be sustainable, and I worry that this path will lead to an increased number of barriers for new and international authors. Short fiction needs these people. It's not going to go away on its own, and I don't have a solution. I have a freaking solution, but we'll get into it. Closing submissions is a drastic move. Until a solution is identified, the magazine is not considering stories from authors. We will reopen, but have not set a date, Clark said on social media. Detectors are unreliable. Pay to submit sacrifices too many legitimate authors. Yeah, pay to submit, submission fees. I'll say right now, for a lot of you up and coming editors and publishers out there, if you're planning on, like, unless you have already built up a reputation, unless you already have like a proven track record, a body of work that you can reference, I wouldn't suggest having submission fees or attaching submission fees to your project. It's just not a good look in general, especially when you're like fresh out the gates and you have nothing to point to people to. Like you haven't built up a body of work. You have no portfolio. All that's going to do is that for authors who do have a portfolio, who do have a body of work already, they're going to question your legitimacy. They're going to question the legitimacy of your whole project. And they're also going to take into question your sincerity behind the project from an artistic standpoint, versus is this just a money-making scheme on your end? You know what I mean? So there's that. But yeah, that's kind of neither here nor there for this. But I just thought I would toss that out there. Let's see. We will reopen, pay to submit. So here we go. So let me close this up. I got enough from that article. I heard enough. It's exactly what I thought was going to happen as soon as this AI stuff started popping up on the scene, this Chat GPT thing. And these things aren't anything new. Like, it's kind of like these chat bots and stuff like that. Those have been around for a while, but the Chat GPT is much higher degree of technology than the chat bots, the old style chat bots that you have to use to look out for with black hat SEO and blogging and stuff like that. So basically, the first point here, like moving forward, I want to talk about solutions, right? I don't want to just like point my finger at this and say, look, I told you so. Like, I want to talk about solutions and ideas here. So first things first, I talked about disclosure. Disclosure is important, okay? So the problem here is people are using the AI they're trying to commercialize the AI. They're looking for a way to commercialize the AI. So first, let me just go over my notes here. What I wrote down in regard to this whole this problem, this issue that this article is talking about, which is proof in the pudding. I wanted to wait. I already saw this crap coming, but I wanted to wait until there was actually something to talk about in that regard. So what we have here is the problem is disclosure. So what these people are doing is they're failing to disclose information. All right. So that's the first problem here. Failure to disclose the fact that they're using AI to create the work. That's what I'm getting from this. And here's the problem when you're talking about commercial products. I talked about if AI, say AI is to start being incorporated in commercial products, there needs to be disclosure. I was saying accreditation, but giving credit to the AI is a bit of a stretch. I'm at that point now. Saying you're giving credit to the AI is a bit of a stretch because the AI isn't creating anything. It doesn't have an imagination. So really, it's just on your part as the person who is publishing the work or whoever is in charge of publishing the work or submitting the work. It's up to you. It's your responsibility. And I will use the term responsibility because bear in mind, it's going to get into a legal sense here. It's your responsibility to disclose that the sum or all of the product was created by artificial intelligence. And here's why. That part is important because you're giving people a choice at that point. We've never got into this, and you got to, and it's one of those things where it's like you got to give people a choice, and it's almost like people you got to let people know. It's almost like ingredients, right? On the market, the FDA requires that you have ingredients on the label. You have to include the ingredients so that the consumer has the information and can make a conscious decision upon their purchase based on the information that you're providing them. So they know what it is that they're buying. They understand the elements, the ingredients of what is involved in your product. Okay. That's disclosure. That's what I mean by disclosure. So failure to disclose such information may be interpreted, okay, maybe, I'm not a lawyer, okay, but it may be interpreted as lying by omission, which could possibly fall under the umbrella of deceptive business practices, okay? So that's first and foremost. That's the issue we're talking about right here in this article. That's the issue, in case people couldn't, collect the forest for the trees. That's the main issue here. Okay. It's not the fact that people are using the AI. It's the fact that people aren't disclosing the information. There's plagiarism going on because it's already been proven that these AI generators aren't creating anything new. They need something to reference. So it's not so much, is it transformative? That's the argument. It may be argued that the AI is creating transformative or generating transformative works, but it needs something to reference. It needs material to process. Okay, so process, there's the key word. So I feel like the people who are trying to commercialize generative AI, it's like you're kind of walking a tightrope. You're walking a tightrope. And here's why. I feel like the people who are trying to use AI in order to cut corners and make things easier for their own personal benefit, mind you. Okay. This isn't for the benefit of the consumer. This is where I stand now. This is my own personal opinion. This is the people who use AI to cut corners. They're not doing it for the benefit of the consumer. They're not, I don't believe they have the consumer in mind at all. I don't think that they have like any respect for the quote unquote process, if you will. So in other words, it's all just what I'm gathering so far is just for personal benefit to make it easier on them as a quote unquote creator of some sort, of sorts. So in other words, I feel like people who are trying to use AI in order to cut corners, make things easier for their own personal benefit, like not only show a lack of respect for the process. You know how they say trust the process? And you know, the lack of respect for that. It's not just that. You know, artistic merit that goes hand in hand with artistic merit. If you know, you know. Okay, if you're an artist, you have respect for artists. You understand what it means to have artistic merit. Then you have respect for the process, because it's not just about the end product. It's not a matter of the end justifies the means. That's not what art is about. But I digress. You know, and it has to do with appreciating the human experience, you know, the work itself. But all that aside, I don't think that people who are trying to use AI in order to cut corners, I don't think that they really understand the long-term ramifications upon the economy from like, and I'm just talking from like a basic 101, economics 101 standpoint. I'm talking just simply supply and demand. Okay. Because like, like anyone who's going to use the type of people that are going to use AI to cut corners are only looking at this thing from a pragmatic standpoint. And why do I say that? Well, proof is in the pudding. I mean, they call generative AI a tool. But, you know, that's the proof is in the pudding. When you call something a tool, well, that tells me that you're looking at it strictly from a pragmatic standpoint. But I've said before, I don't think AI, this generative AI thing, I don't call it a tool. Okay. But let's go ahead and say generative AI is a tool, even though I've already made it. I feel like I've made a very good case, if not crystal clear. I've made a very good case for this, calling this AI, this generative AI thing, it's a machine. It's not a tool, it's a machine, because it eliminates. Why is it a machine and not a tool? Because it eliminates the process. Okay, keyword the process here. It eliminates that portion of the whole creative thing. It's the quote unquote creator, dare I say, the person who claims to be an artist. It eliminates for the most part, it eliminates most elements of the creative process, okay, which makes it a machine, not a tool. But for argument's sake, let's say the generative AI is a tool and not a machine. So let's say it eliminates the process, but let's say it's a tool, okay? So say it's a tool and you're just using it for pragmatic reasons, okay? That tool in the hands of someone who has, like, say it's a pragmatic tool, but it's for intellectual property, right? For creating intellectual property. Not, you know, it's not a tool that you're using to build something or work on something. This is the end product that this tool is helping you with is a piece of intellectual property. Intellectual. All right. So dealing with the mind here. So let's say it's just a tool and we're just talking about pragmatic reasons. Okay. So the generative AI thing is just a tool. So we're only dealing in logic here. All right. We're not dealing in creativity. We're just looking at it from a logical standpoint, a pragmatic standpoint. So we're dealing with IQ in that sense. If we're talking about intellectual property, we're not talking about creativity. We're not talking about artistry, because we're not discussing the idea of the imagination. Okay. the argument is that even if you use this generative AI tool, you still have to have some sort of imagination in order to use this tool. Okay, fine. So the tool is just pragmatic. It's just logical. It's creating intellectual property. So it has to deal with IQ. You have to know how to use the tool, okay, in order for the tool to be effective. Fine. We'll come at it from that angle. If somebody who has this is a tool, I would say, that is beneficial for someone who has low IQ. All right. Somebody who has low IQ may benefit from using this tool because it's going to enhance their ability to create intellectual property. All right, fine. That same tool, now think about that. Leveraging, someone with low IQ is going to leverage this tool to equal the playing field. It's going to equal the playing field, make it easier for someone of a low IQ to create intellectual property. And I would argue, it's not going to equalize the playing field because anybody can leverage the tool. So if someone of low IQ can leverage this tool, and it's going to elevate the standard of the quality of work for somebody of low IQ, all right, imagine what that same tool can do when it's used by somebody of a higher IQ. So it doesn't level. That's my whole thing about this, is like, they keep coming, like the whole AI thing, people keep coming back to this, like defending generative AI, that, it's an equalizer. It's going to help people enhance what is already there. And for the most part, I would agree that it may, quote unquote, enhance what is already there, but it's not equalizing anything. So I just say, like, why use it in the first place? You know what I mean? Let's see. Did I cover everything? Yeah. So it basically just comes down to leveraging. And then you got this. From the business standpoint, the lack of disclosure. Okay. I knew this was going to be a problem. I knew this was going to be an issue. And it's like, people, if you're using the AI, okay, you consider it a tool. I don't consider it a tool. It's a machine, but whatever. You consider it a tool because you're not using it to create your entire product. Say you create a piece of work and then you use your own work as a reference point for the AI, and then the AI, quote unquote, enhances your work, cleans it up, makes it more crisp, makes it pop, whatever the AI will do for your work. All right. It's not 100%. I would argue it's no longer 100% your work at that point. So now, in order to commercialize that work, if you were going to commercialize that work, you have to disclose that you use generative AI in your process. You understand? It's the process here that we're talking about. Because the whole AI thing is that it's eliminating the creative process. Well, it's definitely taking away from the human. It's subsidizing the human element at best. It's subsidizing the human element in the creative process, if not eliminating it completely. So I feel like if you're going to start putting products out there that are from generative AI, then you have to disclose that that's where it came from. And now, solutions to this issue right here, I'll say it right now. Unfortunately, it's going to fuck over opportunities for the little guy. Ultimately, that's what it's going to do. What I mean by that is, you're going to have to, like, for me, if I'm going to start shelling out real money for artists to submit work to a project, and I'm paying, and I'm paying over $100 per piece in an anthology, I want it to be from a trusted source. I want it to be from actual artists who have a portfolio that they can reference. That, for number one. So there goes new writers. Sorry, new writers. Sorry, new writers. It is what it is. It's just business. It's nothing personal. it's business at this point. Okay. I can't be fucking around with randos, at that point. So for me, there you go. There's one less opportunity for you guys to make a little cheddar on the side. All right. When I get ready to do an anthology project, it's going to be a private, invite only opportunity for people, for artists that I personally have already established a peer-to-peer or business-to-business relationship with. And in order to be a part of that opportunity, what does that take? That takes time. It takes time to build those type of relationships. And that's something that these people right here that are trying to cut corners are fucking up for everybody. So here is a publisher that was creating opportunities. They were creating opportunities for the little guy, saying, hey, here's a leg up. Here's an opportunity for you guys to be seen, to be heard, to start building up a creative portfolio and get paid for it from a reputable publisher that is known. That means a lot. That does go a long way. We've talked about prestige before. There is a certain level of prestige that comes with that. But but now the AI stuff is screwing with those opportunities. And if anybody should be up in arms about the AI thing, it's not the big dogs. The big dogs, they're kind of just like waiting for everybody to start accepting this shit. Mark my words. They're just kind of waiting by the sidelines, idly by the sidelines, because money is no issue for them. The big boys, money is no issue for them. They give a fuck about, it's not a matter of hiring people, whatever. It's just like, I feel like they're just kind of waiting on the sidelines for this whole AI thing to become acceptable. See what kind of laws or perhaps regulations or policies might be put forth by Congress on this whole AI issue. And then they're going to proceed accordingly. And mark my words, corporations are not artists. Corporations are just soulless fucking entities that are run by directors. And if they're more often than not, it's to satisfy the expectations of shareholders. Has nothing to do with market, what the market wants. In other words, the demand at that point. I mean, use Hollywood as the reference point. Hollywood doesn't give a shit. Hollywood's too big to fail at this point. You see the type of stuff they're putting out. They don't care about the money. It's not about the money with Hollywood, but that's a whole nother subject. So I feel like if anybody's going to be up in arms about this AI crap, it's the little guy because of stories like this. It's fucking up you guys' opportunity. You guys' opportunities. Well, I say you guys as if I'm not one of the little guys, but I'm just saying indies in general. Okay. All of us indies. It fucks up potential opportunities for all of us out here in the independent scene because of crap like this. Trying to cut corners. This isn't me on my soapbox. I'm not talking about the morality of it. I already discussed a little bit on the morality. I'm just talking from a pragmatic standpoint and ethical business practice standpoint. We see the results. The proof is in the pudding. It's destroying opportunities. That's one less opportunity for new writers out there to get their foot through the door and start creating and start building up a creative portfolio that would add some credence to their name, give their name a little cachet, if you will, some clout, some real clout, some artistic merit. So there you go. So be happy to hear what you guys have to say on this subject. Let's see, checking on the comments before I go. Hey, Rainer Chan. How you doing? But be interested to see what you guys have to say on this subject. Am I off base? What do you think? Is AI a tool? Is it a machine? Is it ethical to use AI? Should people who use AI, generative AI, in their creative process, the process, okay, even if they call it a tool, all right, they're only using it, they're not using it unethically, they're using AI ethically, okay? They're just using it as a tool to enhance their own work. They're not using it to bite off of other artists' work. Okay. They're only using their own work as reference point and then using the AI to enhance that work. Should those people still disclose in their final product, in the end product, should they be required to disclose the fact that they used generative AI in the creative process? It's a serious question as we move forward. This is something new to the conversation. So I'll be interested to see you guys, hear what you guys have to say on that and get your take. How are you, Rainer? Did you have a good week? Dog sitting, huh? A little side hustle. A little side hustle going on there. All right. Let me get into the next segment here. We got some announcements. Oh, you know damn well. Yeah. Yeah, you know damn well. They're just like they're right now, they're just like, I think they're just biding their time. Honestly. I think they're just biding their time. They're trying to see, I think right now it's just the beta stage where it's like they're kind of gauging. I think that they're just kind of gauging the public, kind of like the public reaction to it, if you will, to see, or what is it? The kind of get the sentiment, biding their time, kind of waiting for the right time to kind of position themselves to where it's just going to be where, you know, it becomes like, it reaches the point where it's like public perception. There you go. Where the public perception is like, is generally accepted by the public, like the whole generative AI thing. And then they're just going to move in full force. And like I said before, it's not going to be the equalizer at that point. It's going to be, hey, look, there's no more fucking jobs for the little guy at that point. Oh, you wanted a writing career with one of the big five? Well, sorry, pal. You thought it was hard now because you got to have an influence. You got to have followers and you have to have, all this pre-built shit involved with your social media and stuff before one of the big five even consider you in your query letters and whatnot. Yeah. Well, now that all that would be out the window, if not almost more difficult because of the whole generative AI thing, because they're going to have a whole fleet of interns. And that's the kick in the pants right there. The interns, because they'll be like, what's an intern? An intern is somebody who is effectively just a glorified apprentice. And they're in there, they're learning the craft, or they're learning the ins and the outs of the business. They're basically, they're trading their time for experience is what they're doing. Basically, it's just a way of screwing over college grads that, they don't know any better. So they're willing to just kind of take it up the rear end for experience, when we live in the information age and literally everything that could be learned about the industry can just be learned online for free. But hey, who am I to tell people that, But anyways, these businesses, they won't. So in other words, they're not going to be paying these interns. They'll be paying these interns pretty much nil. Maybe they're paying for their lunches, stuff like that. Some minor expenses like that, whatever. But they're going to have all their interns playing with the generative AI. Okay. So it's going to be, it's not just like one person, some indie using generative AI to enhance their work. They're going to have a whole brigade, a whole army of interns playing with the generative AI for the business, for that company. So in other words, the interns, even if it's like it goes to like the Supreme Court and it turns out that you can copyright some generative AI, but you have to prove, like, it has to be part of the process. Like, it has to be a part of the process. In other words, it can't be 100% generative AI. It has to be like it could be like a certain percentage or something like that. In other words, it's just part of creative process, but it's not 100%. So say you can copyright elements of your work, and then you have to disclose what elements of your work are generative AI. And those elements of your work, it's going to turn into a whole thing. Trust me. I see it right now. It's going to turn into a whole thing. So you have to almost fracture up your work and explain and disclose what elements of your work is generative AI and what is you. Because I think that what we're going to see happen is that it's only going to be the human elements of your work that are going to be protected under copyright. But anyways, even if that is the case, these corporations are just going to take over like no tomorrow, and they'll be using it in ways that the individual wouldn't even be able to fathom. Period. Point blank. Ooh, little inside info here. An okay week so far, he says. Need to keep working on Poison City 2. Oh, a sequel. And Gimp Man. Yes, of course, Gimp Man. How's mine? Not bad. Not bad, not bad. Uneventful for the most part. Yeah, uneventful for the most part. I will say this though. I did watch some movies. I've been watching old school movies. I don't know if you're a fan, but Vincent Price. I've been watching some of the old Vincent Price movies. The Vincent Price movies that are kind of like loose adaptations. The Cormac or McCormick or whatever. Who's the guy? Anyways, Mask of the Red Death or something like that, and the Pit and the Pendulum. I've been watching those Vincent Price movies, and I've been getting a kick out of them. I think that they're pretty cool. Even for I don't know, I wouldn't even say that they're dated, really. Even for being old movies, I think that they kind of hold up. You can definitely tell them. I wouldn't call them like so much like movies as more as like they kind of harken back to like being like theatrical releases, like definitely theatrical in the sense like when I'm watching a Vincent Price movie, like I can tell I'm looking at a set. You know what I mean? I can tell that, the wardrobe and stuff is really done up, and it definitely has like a feeling as though you're watching a stage play, but it's presented in a way that looks like it's presented in a way that it looks like a movie, but really I feel like I'm watching a stage play when I watch a Vincent Price theatrical release. So I thought it was cool. I thought it was interesting. I'm digging them, I should say. What's that? Oh yeah. Oh, ears. Hey, what's going on, Sean? Yeah, you got the birds, huh? Those birds are chirping. Yeah. Pretty much. I'm not afraid of the AI. I'm not, I've been talking about this AI art and AI thing for a while now, and the artificial intelligence in general. For quite a few months now, I've been talking about this topic and coming at it from all different types of angles and subjects. And I'll say this: I don't fear the AI. I'm not afraid of the AI. Look, people want to play around with the AI. You go right ahead. More power to you, But I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, you want to start calling it art. You want to start calling it art. You want to start, trying to monetize that crap. Well, now I got something to say, because now you're getting in on my territory. You're starting to encroach on my territory as far as that goes. And best believe I have a right to voice my opinion, and I will have my opinion heard as far as that goes. So, that's really what this conversation is about. It's not about doom and gloom. It's not about fear mongering. It's just about having a conversation. Mankind hasn't experienced anything like this before, allegedly. So, it's definitely interesting. No, not Cormac McCarthy. Let me look it up real quick. Oh, no. Excuse me. So the director I'm talking about, like Pit and the Pendulum, it's a series, it's a collection of Vincent Price movies that so it's like starring Vincent Price, and it's a series of movies that he did with director Roger Corman, and they are a bunch of loosely adapted Edgar Allan Poe. They're loosely Edgar Allan Poe loose adaptations of various Edgar Allan Poe short stories. So like The Pit and the Pendulum, and what's some other ones? I watched The Mask of the Red Death, which is a 1964 film. I watched was it The Fall of the House of Usher, and I also watched The Pit and the Pendulum. And out of those three, the one I enjoyed the most was The Pit and the Pendulum. The Mask of the Red Death, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I would say the climax of that one, or the grand finale, I should say, at the end in the third act, is fun to watch. Is visually, it's cool. But see, like, I'm not someone who's like into like musicals or anything like that. So when I say, so they're not like musicals. They're more like, and like I say, they're not like, I feel like I was watching a movie as much as I felt like I was watching a play. And that's kind of what I compared them to. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's what it's based off. It's based off Edgar Allan Poe's short story, The Pit and the Pendulum, which is different, by the way, because I looked it up. Before watching the movie, I looked up The Pit and the Pendulum. So the movie itself, when I say they're loose adaptations, it's just taking, like, from what I could tell, because I haven't read that Edgar Allan Poe story yet, but just based on what I read the story is about versus what I saw in the Vincent Price movie, is that it's very loose adaptation. It didn't have much to do with the actual story itself. But it has to do with like the Spanish Inquisition and like torture devices and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. And mind you, those movies have a PG rating. So even for like a PG rating, they were able to do quite a bit. with what they had there. There's no gore. There's no like excessive. Well, there's really no gore at all. There's no gore or anything like that. But the movie does do well at making implications as far as like what the different devices can do and kind of like the aftermath, if you will. Anyways, that's what I did during the week. Just a little bit. Finished up some reading, and I do have a new editorial that I'm going to be posting here. Probably talk about it next week. But let's get into, let me set this up here. I do have some announcements to make. Any of you guys have some announcements to make? Feel free to share. I know, Rainer, you just did. All right. Did you read that story, Sean? All right, so let's see here. First up, step right up. We have some announcements to make. First things first, I'd like to bring up, speaking of opportunities, all right? So this is a opportunity for public collaboration, okay? Storyteller Society still accepting submissions. Is a project that I launched early last year. And so this is something that I kind of introduced as almost like an outreach program or part of the Live Free, Live Rich network, but this is through Live Free, Live Rich Entertainment. So it's a new presentation, a featured presentation. So what I'm looking for here is, this is open opportunity. Okay, open opportunity, open to the public. All right, this isn't private. This is an open opportunity to the public. So open submissions for the Storytellers Society. This is looking for flash fiction. All right, so for this project, that's fiction that is between 500 to 2,000 words. All right. Now, this can be fiction that you have published elsewhere. Okay, so this is what is called a non-exclusive agreement, a non-exclusive deal. There's no contracts involved. All that you're doing is just agreeing to the terms of service. So you are effectively giving me permission to republish your work or to publish your work on my blog for free. In other words, free to read. So it's open to the public, in other words. So for those of you who are aspiring authors, or you are published authors. Like you're aspiring authors who have yet to build up a portfolio. Nobody really knows who you are. You don't have a creative portfolio built up or anything like that. This might be an opportunity for you to kind of build a creative portfolio, start building up a creative portfolio, and build a peer-to-peer, business-to-business relationship with yours truly. All right. I want to collaborate. This is an opportunity that I'm presenting to artists and human writers out there. Okay. So I want, it can be any genre. I added categories now. So when you, on the submission form, there's actually a drop-down menu where you can actually select how you would categorize your submission. All right. That would help me out. But aside from that, what I'm looking for here is, simple story. I want simple stories. You don't have to make them too complex. All right. You don't have to get too convoluted with it. Don't make them too complex or too deep. All right. What I would like here are simple stories that have a very defined plot or goal, because flash fiction, it could just be a character. A piece of flash fiction could have like a single character in a room and they're trying to achieve a goal, a specific goal. Or it could be a character, trying to, say they're a track and field character and they're running in a race or something like that. And you could have this whole story built around them in this particular race that they're in. So it's like clearly there is a beginning, middle, and end in the story. And it may have, in other words, there is a definitive plot. There is a definitive goal in the story itself. And perhaps there is a little bit, because it's hard to do with just flash fiction, okay? But there's a little bit of characterization in there. So characterization is like where you can really play around, add some personal flair as an author, play around with it. How good of a writer are you if you can kind of build up some characterization in less than 2,000 words and still tell a story at the same time, So, there's room to kind of play around. But I would say, for the most part, if you're submitting to this, it doesn't mean that your work is automatically going to be approved. So my advice, I guess, because I try to keep it open. It's open to all types of different writers out there. So no matter what your genre, you can have romance, you can have horror, mystery, thrillers, sci-fi, fantasy, as long as it's flash fiction. Okay. But my advice would be to kind of increase your odds of being published is, just keep it simple. Just keep it simple stories, make it very clear of what the plot or the goal of the characters are in the story. And then just try to tell a complete story in 2,000 words or less, no less than 500, but, try to develop and do it that way. So there's that. And that is, like I say, open to the public. Now, this is just phase one. I do have plans down the road to kind of develop this into something bigger. Okay. So if you want to start building a relationship, I told you before, it's going to be one thing with, you want to start getting paid work. You want to start, like this is for me as not only editor and publisher, but to be able to try and connect with my peers in a way that works for me. Okay. Building that trust. So in the future, when I get ready to start shelling out some money, start shelling out my dough for a project, I want to know that I'm in contact with actual artists, not scammers, not phonies, not fakes, not frauds. I want to build peer-to-peer relationships with people that I can trust, with not only, not only my money, but with my reputation as well. Because if I'm going to stick my neck out on the line for people, if I'm going to start sticking my neck out on the line for people and vouching for artists, I don't want to be made a fool as far as that goes. So that's why for me, unfortunately, because of this whole generative AI crap, if I ever do paid work, it's going to be private invite only. And that's going to be with people who have already established a peer-to-peer or business-to-business relationship with me. We've already collaborated in some shape, fashion, or form. We've worked together. We've spoken together. I don't need to know your personal life, right? But we have, in a professional sense, we've already established some sort of relationship. We know where each other stand on certain things, when it comes to whether it be the creative process, the type of work we do, that sort of thing, I want to have fun with it. Best believe. At the end of the day, it's all about creating good art and having fun while doing it. But I don't want to be made a fool, and I don't want to be taken advantage of either on the business end. Once money is involved, it's business at that point. As soon as money gets involved, it's business. Let's talk. We have a link tree here. Let's see. This comes from Twitter. Somebody here. Who is this? Speaking of links, linking up, making connections, Joseph L.M. Sturm shares a link to his link tree. With me. So let's see what this guy has to offer on his link tree here. All right, there it is. JLM Stern. He's a dad, teacher, author, and connoisseur of dark humor. So it looks like you can fuel his creations here. I'm not sure where that goes. You got his books on Amazon right there. You got a little sampling right here. You got a quick read, an episode. You got his Facebook, his Twitter, his Instagram, and he does a YouTube. He's also on YouTube. So if you see this, Joseph, maybe you subscribe to the channel, or maybe you tune in sometime. Maybe we can get you on the show. All right. Speaking of links, the easiest way to get your work featured on the show is to just go ahead and join either the Gilded or the Discord server. As I set these servers up, so it's just like a one-stop shop, a central hub, if you will, a direct connection between you and I. All right. So if you want to use them just as a resource to go on there and just share your links with me whenever you have something new, whether it be something new to talk about. I got some general chat channels in there too. So if you ever come across some, so in other words, if you come across some articles that you think would be good for one of the hot topics that you think that I should cover or something like that, by all means, you could share those in there too. But other than that, I do have a whole heck of a ton of channels on both those servers where you can share your book links with me. You can share video links with me. You can share submission calls. Like if you're doing your own writing projects or you're looking for artists, you're looking to commission artists or something like that for a project. If you do book clubs, or if you want to schedule buddy reads or something like that, you can share all that stuff in there with me, and I'll mention it during the live stream. So for me, it's kind of a resource where it's you just go in there and you can share your links. You don't have to worry about social media and engagement and all that type of stuff. You can just go in there, share your links, and then I can turn around and use it as a resource so I can plan these shows ahead of time. So I can just jump in on those servers, see okay, who's sharing what, and then just go ahead, throw whatever it is that you guys are sharing with me into the queue so that I can then in turn, when I schedule these shows, I can set things up ahead of time. It's very helpful. as far as that goes. All right, let's see what else we have here. From John Delaney. John Delaney, he writes, this is the link to a sample of the audiobook for A Dangerous Fossil. You can hear the brilliant job that Fiona Mason has made bringing Jurassic Gemma and the others to life. Available from Audible, iTunes, and Amazon. Yes, so A Dangerous Fossil by John J. Delaney, available on Audible. And if you guys want to check out that sample, I will be leaving a link in post-production in the show notes down below. All right, what else we got? Some more drama. Here's some drama. Here's some positive drama. I play a role in No One is Afraid of Monsters Anymore from season 6 of Doorway to Nightmare. That's right. Doorway to Nightmare is an ongoing, it's an audio drama series created by Winslow Swan and Crimson McKenzie. And you can watch it. There's new episodes premiere every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube. They're also featured other places as well, like Spotify and some others. They have a website you can check out, but I will be leaving a link to this because I have been trying to expand my creative horizons and get into voice acting. So an audio drama is basically like listening to a play, but you're getting the audio only. However, they do, when you're listening to it through YouTube, they do add some visuals. So just kind of like, just to kind of add a little flavor, I guess, to each show, kind of just stimulate the imagination a little bit. And I've actually had Winslow and Crimson on the show before and talked about the show quite a bit. And Winslow is also an independent author, has several books on the market as well. So I'm very proud of these two. They're very passionate about this project. They're in their 6th season now, and going strong. And actually heard from Winslow that there's more in the works. There's more in the pipeline. So more in store. But I won't say too much because that's up to them to announce. But yeah, every Friday, season 6 right now, we all meet up. So sometimes, we'll meet up and we'll get involved in live chat. So it's a fun time. Each episode, roughly, you can see around 20 minutes to about a half hour. And we just kind of get together and have some fun. And, as we enjoy the episode. And just a few more announcements. And this one comes from James Glenn Thomas. Shares a link to his author website. Okay. You can sign up on the subscriber list and you can actually get a free ebook for free. This is Lake House Mystery. You guys, you're into mysteries. There's all kinds of authors out here, just giving away work. And very generous. Very generous. This is James Glenn Thomas, shares his author website. Let's just take a peek at it real quick and see if he has. We'll check out his about page. I think that's what I'll do now when authors share their personal website with me. We'll check out their about page and see if we can learn something a little bit. We're not going to look at the work itself. You guys can do that on your own time, but maybe we can learn a thing or two about the author themselves. So let's see if we can learn something about James Glenn Thompson here. Thompson. All right, pretty simple layout. Pretty simple layout here. We got a home, books, and about. Here's the home page for the best adventure stories. James Glenn Thompson. Hello and welcome. And here's where you can sign up. You can subscribe to his mailing list, and this is how you a little inside him. Doesn't say it on the website, so apparently it's a little surprise for people who don't know. But if you sign up for his email list, you will get a freebie. Here's some of his books. It's into mysteries, adventure mysteries. All right, let's see. We go to about section here. All right, popped up. Very good. About section. And one thing I will say about your website right now, you know, I like the simple design. I am definitely a strong proponent if you've ever been to my website, simple design. I like simple design, not too much flashy, not too much crap to load. And for the love of all that is holy, do not plaster your website with AdSense, please. It slows everything down. It slows everything down. It makes your website look like Garbo, as far as I'm concerned. So there he is, the man himself. So James Glenn Thompson, let me read this. I am a husband, father, grandfather, author, and photographer currently residing in Central Texas. The middle name, Glenn, is essential as there are many James Thompsons in the world, and several are authors. A few years before she passed on, my mother shared my middle name was from a man she had a crush on in her 20s. To this day, I don't quite know what to make of that. I wonder if your father knew. Scandalous. I'm just kidding, of course. The sea, especially ports along the Gulf of Mexico and connections to the U.S. Navy and the Merchant Marine are occasionally part of my stories. After graduating from the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy with a third mate ocean license and a U.S. Naval Reserve commission, I sailed for a steamship company headquartered in New Orleans, Louisiana. I was lucky enough to see a good chunk of the world and visited 45 countries before I was 25 years old. It's quite a tour, I have to say. Then, as seamen say, I swallowed the anchor and earned an MBA in finance from the University of Illinois. My books tap into 45 years spent in the business world in various executive functions, including Fortune 50 companies and technology startups. I love to bring historical events and organizations into my work, from just a few years in the past to many thousands of years ago. One surprise from my research is I discovered history isn't static. It changes as new information is discovered or modern eyes view known events. Yeah, we talked a little bit about that last week with the whole Roald Dahl controversy going on. Revisionists, they call them. Revisionists. When you look at history through the lens of a new eye. But then again, who's to say what is the real history and what is the phony baloney history? Because to the victor goes the spoils, and they say it's the ones when it comes to history, it's those who win, or what is it? The saying, whoever the victors are, write the history books. Is that how that goes? But let's talk about periodicals here. Oh, I forgot to bring that up. Speaking of signing up on websites, you can head over to livefreeliverich.com, and right on the homepage, plastered right on the homepage, big in bold for your eyes to see, is LFLR Weekly. Yes, indeed. Once a week, I will send out a periodical to your email address. So if you have no interest in following me on social media, you're not interested in joining the servers, whether it be Discord or Gilded, you just do everything through email, that's fine. I got you. You can sign up right here. I'm not going to spam you. Just once a week, I'm going to send you the newsletter. And in the newsletter, it is very much set up like a periodical in the sense that I'm just going to give you the headlines, and then underneath the headlines, you're going to get some links to whatever happened during the week in regard to the brand. So it's an easy way to kind of just keep tabs with what's going on with the brand in general, and all across the YouTube channel and other things like that. Now, one reason why you may want to sign up for this, even if you are involved with me on social media or on the servers, is because I'm thinking about using this letter for exclusive events. So whether it just be not just making announcements, but doing like exclusive things for people who are on the newsletter. Because let's face it, your social media account is not guaranteed. They could turn off you can get shadow banned. They can turn off your social media account, cancel it just like that, turn you off. You're out. You're out of the game. Everything you work for, all your quote unquote followers, right? Subscribers, all that you built up over the years, gone in a split second. If someone catches, one of the technocrats catches a hair across their ass, so email lists are important, even though they're dated, even though, not a lot of people, a lot of people still use email, but I'm just saying, like, building up a newsletter is old school. I will say that building up a newsletter is old school, but it's still important though. It's still important to be kind of doing that on the side and not just put everything through social media platforms. So there's that. So I might be doing some exclusives. So just go ahead, sign up for that, and no big deal. All right. One more announcement here. This comes from author Selena. This is someone who is on Fiverr. So this is a gig here. Pitching a gig. Says, I will make amazing ebook trailer videos. All right. Amazing ebook trailer videos, huh? So this is make amazing ebook trailer videos by Animations to Dio on Fiverr. So is this a deal? Let's check it out real quick. See what they have to offer. And then you guys can make the choice of whether or not it is a deal. All right, so here's the gig. I will make amazing ebook trailers. Let's see. The amazing trailer. Oops. I just wanted to make sure I had audio going. Yeah, because I don't think I was sharing audio. All right, let's check it out. Here we go. Fiverr. Here's a Fiverr. Book title here. Book subtitle here. By author name here. This is a great ebook promo video. I mean, there you go. You can get this for only $5. Isn't that a great deal? I mean, to be honest, it's generic. You know, it's just a generic trailer kind of insert, you know, green screen insert your book cover right here. I don't know if they're using some sort of app or anything like that. Probably just using some kind of like stock, you know, video editor. But not everybody, you know, not everybody has video editing software, and not everybody has the know-how to you know, use video editing software. You know, so you never know. So there's $5 basic package. You're going to get a 720 free music, any font. You'll get 3 revisions and 2-day delivery for $5. Pretty simple. That's the basic package. I will say the website is called Fiverr. Okay, so I do like the fact that they actually have a $5 service. Okay, if you're putting just to put something out there for those of you on Fiverr, you're trying to tap into the Fiverr market. The least you could do is at least have your first package be $5. Hence the name of the website, Fiverr. Okay, even if it's just like something stupid like, you know, consultation for $5. You know, have something. You know, then you got the standard package here for $10. Another $5, you'll get 1080p, free music, any font, unlimited revisions, 2-day delivery. And then, of course, we will have the premium package. The premium package, you can get that. You can get that shit in 4K, baby. 4 fucking K. Kaloo-kalay, it's your lucky day. With custom music and BG, plus any font and unlimited revisions and 1-day delivery, baby. That is service with a smile right there. $15, all that. There you go. You need a book trailer. Speaking of book trailers, if you guys ever have any book trailers, please share the link with me. You know, I'd like to get into videos are being neglected on this channel. I do share videos. I do actually have a video to share tonight, but I do have a featured media segment. So if you guys have videos, book trailers would be great. It'd be another way to get your work mentioned. Even if you've had your book mentioned on this channel before, it's another way of being able to get that same novel or that same book, that same story mentioned a second time on the show through the featured media segment, like doing a book trailer. All right, let's move right along some reading time. I got some live reading for you guys tonight. So I read these. I will read if you have poetry, your own flash fiction, an essay, something that you've written on your own blog or you have published, say, on a third-party platform like a Wattpad, Medium.com, Substack, you know, something like that. So long as I can have access to it. I will read that and I can plug your website that way. And also, by the way, if you've ever had any of your work read live on the air, you guys are more than welcome to download these shows. You have my permission to download any of these live streams, and you can edit them however you want for your own marketing, advertising purposes. Just an FYI. Let's see who we have tonight. This comes from Augie, aka Augie Richards. Follow the good doctor and Scarlet Walker through hell in my epic work in progress sci-fi horror Tartarus Chronicles. Rough draft available for your pleasure on my website. And we will be reading Tartarus Chronicles, Chapter 1, The Good Doctor. A work in progress, mind you. This is a work in progress. I'm not really going to be, well, maybe I'll toss in, seeing as how this is a work in progress, maybe I will toss in a little extra criticism here and there if need be, because it might, maybe you like, you want to hear my opinion. Maybe you would like to hear it. So this is by Augie Richards, and this is his website, magicandjupes.com. So sci-fi horror. That's all we really got. No blurb. I don't believe there's no blurb or anything like that. Oops. So we're just going to jump right into it. Tartarus Chronicles, Chapter 1, The Good Doctor, Rough Draft Updates. So we got pages 1 through 5 here. I might not go through the whole thing. This seems 16 pages, not too shabby. We'll see. This is what I'll do. This is what I propose right here. What I'll do is I will go through these sections. So I'll read page 1 through 5. And if I feel so inclined, in other words, if I am compelled to, then I will continue on to the next section. How about that? That's what I'll do. So let's start pages 1 through 5. Here we go. A spotlight shines down, illuminating an elderly man in a brown pinstripe tuxedo. 3 fingers in his tiny left breast pocket and a silver pen held aloft in front of his gray eyes. He swayed his arm left and back to the right, then tapped the air with his pen, releasing a spark of green light. He opens himself up, embracing the darkness, encircling his spotlight. Welcome to paradise, a world where your dreams will never come true, he says proudly, voice clear and concise. It carries throughout the room and down the station's corridors before being consumed by the sound of hot air banging in the vents. Rats scurried about in the walls, screeching and scratching, sending a shiver down the old gentleman's spine. The noise settled, and he returned to a more relaxed posture. 3 fingers in his left breast pocket, and a silver pen ready to conduct an orchestra in the dark. My name is Dr. Eric von Lichtenstein, but if you call me that, he looks around, blind to the audience, then I will feed you to my rats. He put the silver pen in his mouth, inhaled deep, then exhaled a white smoke and smiled. To you, I am just the doctor. He flicked his pen, and a green light, mimicking ashes, fell to the ground. Stepping out of the spotlight, the doctor looked down to his polished black no longer shining shoes. He took another drag from his pen, then balled up his hand around it. A drag. Oh, okay, so we're talking he's vaping. He's one of those vaping hipsters. I thought pen like a writing pen, but apparently it's pen as in he's smoking. Oh, I get it. He looked to the ceiling and proceeded to shout, "Marvin!" He shook his fist in the air. "I programmed you for one job. Just one fucking job. Keep the damn light on me." The light squeaked while it swiveled past empty chairs, past a metallic wall, over a messy desk, before it finally settled over the doctor once again. He shook his head, sucked on his pen. Then he took a step, and the light followed. "Good," he said. "Next time, I will disassemble you and launch you out into deep space." The doctor breathed a sigh of disbelief. He straightened his vest, adjusted his tie, and began a slow pace. Runs a tight ship, that doctor. 10 steps towards the north wall, spun around on his heels, and 10 steps towards the south wall. "Where was I?" he asked himself. "Ah, right. I remember." He took pause and gracefully held his palm out to the dark room. "Welcome to the Rings of Tartarus." And he resumed his anxious wandering. "As I have already stated, I am the good doctor, a scientist, the chief science officer aboard this station, the locals call it, the Nexus. Yuck." He spit on the floor. "Anyway, I, the good doctor, happen to be the greatest scientist on this world we call Tartarus. I also happen to be the only reputable scientist on this insane planet. I did create this world. The only competition is the Most High and Mighty. It took me a lot longer than 6 days, I tell you." He kissed his pen and pointed it towards the heavens. "When your greatest competition created the universe, it can bring the best and worst out of man." The doctor looked out of his selfish circle to the invisible audience with a smile. "If the idea of a creator offends you, then you may leave. Nay, you may look upon me as your creator. I promise your life will be as I intend it to be." The station shook. Marvin fell over, pulling the spotlight with him. The door slid open, and a shadow figure stood in its place. The lights of the room flickered to life, revealing a clusterfuck of a mess in an office. Books disorganized and piled high all around. A beautiful mahogany wood desk hiding under junk tucked away in a corner, and a dozen antique folding chairs assembled to face the doctor. He halted, furrowed his brows, and reached out to simulate strangling a handful of broken mannequins which were set in the chairs to simulate a small audience for his madness. So clearly dealing with someone who is delusional here. As he opened his mouth to chastise, the shadow in the door emerged and became a cream-skinned robot wearing a maid's outfit. She approached the doctor, but was brought to a complete stop by his emotive hand. "Sorry for the interruption, Eric," she bowed, "but our guests have arrived." "What do you mean our guests have arrived? They are sitting right there." He points at the mannequins. "Sorry, I will send the shuttles away immediately." She bowed and turned to leave, but again was halted by the doctor. "Wait, wait, wait," he said, whilst he stroked his sharp, thinning goatee, staring at the lifeless dolls. "You're right." He glided across the black tile and got close enough to her that his breath left a fog over her blue lenses. He gently placed his pen hand on her shoulder, one finger laying down at a time, and he whispered, "Activate the Orphan Project. Eric, doctor, even to you, my dear." "Are you sure? We still haven't..." She was cut off by a sharp tap on her forehead. "Do as I tell you. When you're done, bring our newly arrived intruders to the holodeck." He waved her away. She bowed, swiveled at the hips, legs followed, then left the office. "Marvin, clean up this pigsty. When you are finished, meet me in the atrium. I have a gift waiting for you there." The rusty robot saluted. The doctor nodded and left the room. A ball of light parts and dances on the fringe of the universe. A woman floats along on nothing, motionless, enjoying the show. She is a body of light, a lost soul. And this corporeal form of hers has been lost here for an eternity. Memories of a past life faded long ago. She often wonders if this is death. No, my dear, this is purgatory, and for you, this is only the beginning. A gray dot appeared beyond the streams of playful light. As it grows, the streams of light scatter and fade away, blending with the dark cosmos of the universe. She squinted for a better view. And just like that, a long paralysis cured, touched by the hand of God, replaced by thousands of pins and needles stabbing viciously at every nerve, joint, tendon, muscle, and organ. She jerked violently. Her stomach turned, and searing bile burned its way out and into the void before her. The spicy scent of cinnamon filled her stale nostrils. Her body trembled, slow to relax. Cold air returned to her shriveled lungs. She opened her teary eyes, and before her loomed a massive beast. It resembled a great humpback whale with the tentacles of a giant squid in place of fins. Behind the beast, it left a trail of black ink. She felt euphoric in the face of this creature, so much so she felt compelled to reach out and place a hand on its nose. Her blue eyes light up space around the pair. Her tears wash space clean, and the stars came out from hiding, igniting beautiful red, blue, and green nebulas. The beast excreted more black ink, which encapsulated the duo. It pressed its nose into her chest deep, tight against her beating heart, washing away the girl's pain. Her damp black hair felt warm pressed against her face in the loving embrace of the beast. Her hair tickled its nose. The inhale of the beast was so powerful that even with all her might, she couldn't push herself free from its grip. It sneezed, and suddenly she found herself being ejected from the cockpit of a starfighter. "Scarlet!" a woman screamed. The starfighter crashed into an asteroid, and a white foam expanded from Scarlet's chest, filling the space around her. A helmet now wrapped around her head, and a radio now screeched in her ears, obscene travesties, and Scarlet hugged her head, trying to squish the pain away. Soon, though, the noise settled into a more pleasant, pulsating ringing. From antagonizing to freshly restored, her senses calmed. Hey, Herman. From antagonizing to freshly restored, her senses calmed. So too did the spider foam encircling her, settling into a translucent gel. She felt weightless, dizzy, and once again paralyzed. Slowly, she drifted from consciousness, while the gelatin pod spun out of control. I'm sort of following the visuals here, but I'm trying to follow the visuals here. It's a little bit difficult for me. Scarlet, pick up, Scarlet. Can you hear me? Here you are, Marvin, your gift. And she rests easy, the doctor says. Seizures will drain even the dead, I suppose. We will give her a few more hours. He handed a hollow pad to Marvin. If she doesn't wake by then, we will put her into the garbage disposal, yes? Marvin's lenses widened. Doctor, this orphan's heart rate is increasing rapidly, he said in his synthetic monotone voice. Annoyed with Marvin's slight retardation, he swallowed his frustration and asked, What is it? Not another attack, I hope. This one is in such fine condition. No, sir, she is. His boring speech pattern interrupted as Scarlet opened her eyes and sat up. She's alive, the doctor shouted, throwing a fist in the air and knocking Scarlet's hollow pad monitor out of Marvin's mechanical hands. Hit the floor and the green light flickered off, leaving only a silver pen. Scarlet, dripping in sweat, wiped her face with the inside of her forearm, looked around dazed and confused. She winced from the pain of moving her stiff left, then right legs out of her bed, letting them dangle. The bed, stainless steel, protruded from a stainless steel wall behind her, both well polished. The other three walls, more stainless steel, but bars boxing her inside of a metal cage. Scarlet slouched over and dropped her face into her palms. Sweat fell to the black tile floor. Welcome back, the doctor said, face pressed between the bars with his hands gripped on either side of his wrinkled cheeks. Scarlet jumped in her bed. What the fuck? The first raspy words to leave her mouth in only the doctor knows how long. Her eyes darted left, then right, and she saw a woman lying on the floor of the cell next to hers. Ashley! She leapt from her bed, slipped on her own puddle of sweat, and banged her head off the floor, opening a gash on her forehead. She crawled over to the bars separating them and reached through. She stretched her arm as far as it could go. Blood and sweat poured down her face, blinding her. To no avail, she gave up and fell back onto her knees. Defeated, she let herself bleed out. The doctor looked on with disgust. We here on the Nexus call her Tweak, he said, pushing himself away from the bars. You know her, I presume? Work in progress. So far, just some character introductions. Nothing too fancy. Don't really know what is going on here. So far in these first, 5 pages or so. This is still chapter 1, so this is just the first 5 pages. First 5 pages of chapter 1. Do I want to continue? Well, let me see here. Let's give it just a little bit more. I'll give it 5 more pages. Let's see what happens here. We're just getting introduced. Let's see what happens. If nothing happens plot-wise in these next 5 pages, because 10 pages, we'll say 10 pages, if the book is, 100 pages, or actually if the book was like 200 pages, be like what, like 5%? 5%. At 5%, we should be getting a little bit of plot. 10% definitely be getting some plot. But this is 5%. We'll see. Scarlett gave up, brought her arm in, fell back, and hugged both knees tight to her chest. Yes, no, I don't know. She stuck her head between her bruised knees and cried. Do not worry, Miss Walker, he said, chin held high with Marvin reached under to straighten his tie. We will fix you up to be as good as new. Marvin held open a white lab coat. The doctor slipped his arms in, and with yet more assistance, Marvin buttoned it up. Scarlett lifted her head and rested her chin on her knees. What about her? She wiggled a finger at Tweak. Ashley or Tweak? She is still alive for now. For now? Scarlett tilted her head, letting blood run away from her eyes. Yes, Miss Walker. There were complications with her revival procedure. She turned feral, you see, and we cannot have feral disrupting the peace. So we sedated her. The doctor looked to his right where Marvin would bend over to pick up the pen, bang his head off the bars, stand up, bend over again, bang his head, and repeat. You sedated her? Yes, he replied impatiently. He slapped Marvin on the way up. Would you stop that, you dolt? Marvin stood tall, held the pen up in front of the doctor, and rubbed the back of his head. Surely, if the moron had a mouth to smile from, he would be smiling. The doctor snatched the pen out of Marvin's hand and inspected it. He found a small scratch where it had contacted the floor, and he frowned in Marvin's general direction. Nothing out of the ordinary, Miss Walker. Experiments go feral from time to time. Now, come closer. Allow me to patch you up. Scarlett struggled to her feet and stumbled over to the doctor. She could hardly see through blood-soaked eyes and matted hair. She stabilized herself by bracing the bars of her cage and could barely make out the image of the old man. He slipped a tiny monocle out of his left breast pocket, placed it gently on his left eye, and it expanded across his wrinkly face, illuminating his eyes with a green light. The doctor slid his finger along the silver pen once, twice, 3 times, until a needle and thread appeared in his glasses. He tapped the bar in front of him, and it rang, echoing throughout the hall. Come a little closer, please. Scarlett pressed her face against the bars. Very good, he said, then held the pen 3 inches from her forehead. A green light traced her wound, moved back and forth, slowly healing her. Who are you? She asked. I am the doctor, he replied, focused on the task at hand. The good doctor, Marvin said. His upper body spun in a full circle. Then he stuck a needle in Scarlett's neck. Ouch! She pulled back and grabbed her neck. Fuck! What the hell was that? The doctor lowered the pen. Orphan serum, he said. It will prevent further illness. Now, if you would come closer, I haven't finished patching you up. Apparently, there is no consent for the jab on this world. No consent necessary. Scarlett stuck her face back into the bars. So, you say you're the doctor, huh? That I am. Stay still, please. Tell me, good doctor. She rubbed her neck. Is it normal for a doctor to keep his patients locked up in cages? All finished, he said. He removed his monocle, slid it back into his left breast pocket, then patted it with his hand gently. Look around you, Miss Walker. He pointed down the hall. You are not a patient. You are a prisoner. She stepped back from the bar, still dizzy. Looking around the room, it began to expand and contract. There had to be at least 100 holding cells with countless others locked up. Prisoner? She said, still rubbing her neck. For what crime? Many, Miss Walker, many. I don't know if that was the robot or the doctor. Scarlett stumbled back a step, then fell to one knee. Disoriented and confused, she looked to the doctor. Vision blurred, but she could still make out the image of him walking away, white lab coat flowing like a cape, and Marvin hot on his trail. What did you... She stumbled again. What did you do to me? She cried. All in due time, Miss Walker. All in due time. He laughed, and it carried echoing, bouncing off walls surrounding Scarlett, waking up prisoners throughout the hall. Scarlett, now on all fours, crawled over to Ashley's cell. She called out to her, Ashley, wake up, Ashley. Ashley rose, a marionette being lifted from her stomach by invisible strings, arms dangling, and her red hair concealing her face. Her head jerked back and forth. She turned, the tops of her feet dragging on the floor. Scarlett looked on from her knees, veins pulsating, ears ringing, vision still a mess. Sometimes there was one, sometimes Ashley split into three. Ashley, Scarlett squeaked. Ashley's head twitched, and her left ear bounced off her shoulder rapidly. She shot her head back. A black bile dripped from her purple mouth, and she lunged hard into the bars, knocking Scarlett back to the other side of her cell. Clicking, followed by a sick moaning and groaning, filled the air. Scarlett's eyes widened, watching Ashley turn into this creature, its arms and legs flailing about, trying to grab her. It paused, opened its mouth, and let its grotesque tongue drop to the floor. The tongue rolled out towards Scarlett and began a slimy climb between her legs, up her stomach, between her breasts, and when it reached her neck, the creature moaned. Scarlett shut her eyes tight, trembling in absolute terror. Screaming bats poured from the mouth of the monster called Tweak. The swarm of flying vermin engulfed the hall, blocking out the light. They bit, clawed, and tore the skin off the other prisoners' faces. Agonizing cries rang throughout hell, fueling a deeper frenzy from the bats. They began suicide bombing, whistling loud before crashing, denting walls and smashing craters into the tile floor. The room shook violently with each kamikaze strike. The tongue of Tweak wrapped around Scarlett's neck and wiggled its way up her cheek. Scarlett screamed and protested to no avail, so she began sobbing, wet with tears. She began squirming, choking, struggling to find air, tugging hard at the monster's burning tongue. Its acidic saliva, lustful, leached onto her sweat and blood. Tweak moaned, feeling great pleasure from Scarlett's distress. She turned blue and tugged harder at the monster, leaving bloody scratches on her neck. Each pull gave Tweak's grip more strength. The tongue penetrated through Scarlett's cheekbone, her eyes protruding from their sockets. Then the tongue wiggled its way into her mouth through the gaunt and gave Scarlett a demonic French kiss. Well, at least it was a French kiss and not an Australian kiss. What's the difference, you ask? Well, look it up. The doctor hovered over two blue robots, Marvin at his side. Together, they panned through live feeds of the prisoners. They went from one feed to the next until they came across Scarlet, alone in her cell, squirming, suffocating, losing her mind. Oh, is it all in her head? Stop! He shouted, slamming his hand down on the table. Go back. Yes, that one. The doctor watched her dumbfounded. Marvin, which veil did you give her? Marvin opened his chest, sifted through junk, and pulled out a small glass veil with, is that supposed to be vial? I think he meant vial. Marvin opened his chest, sifted through junk, and opened the small glass vial with a metallic liquid that read OPX beta. That's the wrong one, you imbecile. A rickety old shuttle wobbled its way towards the Nexus, with its docking arm fully extended. Aboard the shuttle, 24 of the wealthiest individuals from Tartarus to fill all 24 passengers' seats. 4 not so sentient robots acted as escorts, 2 terrible pilots and 2 looking after the guests, unfazed by the turbulence. The robots had been programmed by one they call Mother to track down and deliver these men and women to the doctor. Each of the 4 robots, led by a matte black robot with a pink stripe painted across its forehead, scoured every nook and cranny of Tartarus, shoved each guest into a sack and tossed them onto the shuttle, kicking and screaming. Now, scared for their lives, with sweaty palms, for the shaking of the shuttle was unsettling, they failed to speak out, distracted by the 2 robots in the back fighting over a game of rock, paper, scissors. The silver bot shoved the black bot with pink stripe, and the pink stripe shoved the silver bot back, and the shuttle rocked back and forth. A skinny man sitting in the center couldn't handle the rocking any longer, nor could he hold down the yellow-green vomit he spewed into the air. The droplets pooled together and floated above the other passengers, drawing cowers and shrieks as they ducked under. Changing shape as it went, another man puked, and another, adding to the disgusting blob. Is this necessary? The robots stopped their bickering and tilted their heads at the fleshling display. The shuttle missed its mark and came to an abrupt halt due to the nonsense inside, and it banged against the Nexus. The guests jerked in their seats, and the blob altered course. A pretty blue-eyed, blonde-haired girl began sobbing as the vomit wrecking ball shape shifted its way towards her. And I think that is where we're going to leave it right here. I'm not really interested to know what happened with the vomit ball at this point. But thank you for sharing that with me. It sounds like we got a little bit of a space opera going on here. I will admit, not my particular forte when it comes to literature. I'm not really a space guy. I'm not into spacey type of stuff, like space settings, anything like that. But the writing wasn't bad. Let's get into the last segment here. And this is the featured media. So this can be your YouTube videos. So it could be like if you do your own reading, like say if you do like a web series, or if you do like poetry readings, if you do like writing tips type of videos, something like that, book trailers, like I said before, then you can have it featured during this segment. Just share a link with me. And let's see what we have for today. I believe this is an independent film. So a short film. This is coming from Twitter, JD. So Jen Dream. So let's see. This is her short film entitled You Got Me. This is the first. Haven't done anything like that. So this is why I say some drama. We got some drama here. Here is some more drama for you guys in You Got Me. This comes courtesy of Gray Scar Films via YouTube. So I'm not a huge cinematography buff. So I'm not really going to be critiquing this work in any shape, fashion, or form. I'm really just going to be watching this video, as just a common viewer, as if I was to just come across this video on YouTube or something like that and give it a watch. All right, so let's first, before I play this, let's see what it's all about here. You see that? So it says a successful businesswoman confronts her kidnapper, and in the process, realizes how far she's come and the real cost of her success. All right, so that's all we got. So there's a woman confronting her kidnapper. So I don't know if she's been kidnapped or if this is later on in later point during her life that she's confronting her kidnapper. Let's see.
If you thought I was going to be your big payday, you got the wrong lady. By all appearances, I am a successful businesswoman, a loving wife and mother, a pillar of the community. While appearances can be deceiving. I am a successful businesswoman. In 20 years, I've made more money than I, my children, and future grandchildren could ever spend. But I didn't get where I am by being nice. I can't tell you how many lives and careers I've destroyed. People were just obstacles to my goals. A pillar of the community? Hardly. I help when it serves my purpose. I sponsor a little league team. I get a plaque to hang in my office and an ad in their program. You all see a local business leader giving back to the community, doing what she can to help less fortunate children. I see cheap advertising and a good reputation, both of which help my business. A loving wife, please. I thought I'd married a man, but I didn't. Now, I married a little boy who expected me to take care of him the way his mommy did. The honeymoon was hardly over when I realized if we were ever going to get anywhere, I was going to have to do it. My husband inherited a family business that his dad worked 45 years to build, and he proceeded to destroy it, giving away our services in some pathetic attempt to make friends and win people over. Apparently, he'd already figured out that he wasn't going to get anywhere at all with his dashing good looks and witty repartee, so I took over. And here we are. My kids, they're the only thing besides making money that I ever did right. But I spent most of their lives building an empire for them to inherit. I was determined they'd never experience anything like the life I had growing up. No electricity, no water, peeing in a bucket, and going to bed hungry.
talk about drama. Now wait a minute. That seems just a little. Let me play that again. It just seems like a little bit much. Kind of laying it on thick there. Hold on.
I was determined they'd never experience anything like the life I had growing up. No electricity, no water, peeing in a bucket.
Okay, hold on. Now I'm starting to get it. Okay. So she's talking about maybe she's referring at this point, she's referring to her experience with her kidnapper. I get it. That's where that's coming from. No electricity, peeing in a bucket. I get it.
And going to bed hungry. Lying in bed crying because your belly hurt so bad. Not my kids. Never my kids. But in the process, I missed their entire childhood. I went to games and practices, had to keep up that public image. But I was on my phone or my laptop or networking with other parents. I was never really there for my babies. Not the way they needed me to be.
A little bit of method acting here.
Thankfully, despite my absence, they grew up to be honorable, intelligent, loving people. But they don't see me that way. And rightfully so. And the empire I built for them, they won't have anything to do with it. They see it for exactly what it is. It's the center of my life. They say when they have families, they want to be present, even if it means having a less affluent lifestyle. They haven't spoken to me in years. Good for them. At least I taught them something. So, like I said, if you thought I was going to be your big payday, you thought wrong. You didn't get a lady that people would do anything for, give whatever was necessary just to see her safely return. You didn't get a cherished woman whose family and community would pay just to get her back. You didn't get that lady. You got me.
No. Boss babe. When being the boss babe goes wrong. Wow, that was pretty powerful. I like that. No one cares about the boss babe in the end. That's what I got from that film. Thanks for sharing that. It was very strong message, I have to say. The part where is like the one thing I say, like the part where she's talking to her kidnapper and how it's just kind of implied. Yeah, I don't see how it would be necessary to actually like show the kidnapper. It's just implied that she's talking to her kidnapper. And I can kind of see that to a certain degree, like how she's kind of giving like this confessional or something like that, like having a conversation with the kidnapper. It would have been cool. I would say that for visual effect, though, it would have been cool if she had someone like tie her to a chair just for the visual effect. I think that could have been cool. That would have been cool. But that's the live stream for this week, ladies and gentlemen. I hope y'all had some fun. I hope y'all discovered something new. But don't fret, because guess what? I will be back here for you next week, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. Pacific. Have a good week.